Hey, and welcome back to Speechless. I'm your host, Phares. And as I always say, guys, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, everything like Joe Biden delivered his farewell address. It's just about 17 minutes. We're going to react to it. I might skip through it a little bit to make sure for brevity's sake, because of course it is Joe Biden. But it of course is worthy to discuss and react to, because this is truly the important part of it, is the fact that Joe Biden spent 5 decades in public service. Joe Biden is capping 5 decades in politics, and this is his final address from the Oval Office yesterday evening. 5 decades, 50 years living on the taxpayer's dime, wasting your money, and advocating for absolutely terrible policy for the most part. I mean, if you go back far enough, eventually he is advocating for strong borders, but quickly evolving to be one of the worst presidents America has ever seen. So it's only fitting that we listen to what this career public servant, I say that term loosely and only in definition, has to say regarding his end of 50 years. You'd think it'd be intelligent, or at least wise in some form. I don't know. Let's give it a chance. Also, something I said when he was inaugurated in 2020. Let's give it a chance.
Speaking to you tonight from the Oval Office. Before I begin, let me speak to important news from earlier today. After 8 months of nonstop negotiation, by my administration, a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached by Israel and Hamas, the elements of which I laid out in great detail.
He's trying to take hard credit for this when it was obviously much more due to threats that President Trump was making once he got into office, and a ceasefire deal was necessary to be made because Hamas especially knew that they weren't going to last long if Trump got into office. But okay.
In May of this year. This plan was developed and negotiated by my team and will be largely implemented by the incoming administration. That's why I told my team to keep the incoming administration fully informed, because that's how it should be.
Because that's him saying it's because of Trump without actually.
This will be my final address to you from the American people, from the Oval Office, from this desk as president. And I've been thinking a lot about who we are, and maybe more importantly, who we should be. Long ago in New York Harbor, an iron worker installed beam after beam, day after day. He was joined by steel workers, stonemasons, engineers. They built not just a single structure, but a beacon of freedom. The very idea of America was so big, we felt the entire world needed to see. The Statue of Liberty, a gift from France after our Civil War. Like the very idea of America, it was built not by one person, but by many people from every background and from around the world. Like America, the Statue of Liberty is not standing still. Her foot literally steps forward atop a broken chain of human bondage. She's on the march, and she literally moves. She was built to sway back and forth to withstand the fury of stormy weather, to stand the test of time because storms are always coming. She sways a few inches, but she never falls into the current below. An engineering marvel. The Statue of Liberty is also an enduring symbol of the soul of our nation.
See, here's the really sad thing about all of this. Once again, I mean, like, he's going to likely make some level of an analogy that was written for him by somebody else. But this is a man who spent 50 years in public service as a senator, as a president, as a vice president. It would be really awesome. Like, even though I fundamentally disagree with him on just about everything, it would be really awesome if he could come out and give some level of a genuine piece of advice. But right now he's squinting because he's having a hard time reading the words that somebody else wrote for him off of a teleprompter.
A soul shaped by forces that bring us together and by forces that pull us apart. And yet through good times and tough times, we've withstood it all. A nation of pioneers and explorers, of dreamers and doers, of ancestors native to this land, of ancestors who came by force, a A nation of immigrants came to build a better life. A nation holding the torch of the most powerful idea ever in the history of the world. That all of us are created equal. That all of us deserve to be treated with dignity, justice, and fairness. That democracy must defend and be defined and be imposed, moved in every way possible. Our rights, our freedoms, our dreams. But we know the idea of America, our institution, our people, our values that uphold it are constantly being tested. Ongoing debates about power and the exercise of power, about whether we lead by the example of our power or the power of our example, whether we show the courage to stand up to the abuse of power or we yield to it. After 50 years at the center of all of this, I know that believing in the idea of America means respecting the institutions that govern a free society.
Look, he just did a big thing, and it was supposed to be like artistic about like the power and the exercise of power and the power of the exercise and blah 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 blah. I'm willing to bet he has no idea what, like, if you were to ask him what that sentence meant about power, exercise, and changing the terms and everything, and the wordplay that was within it, I guarantee you he could not tell you, because once again, he didn't even write this. This is so sad. It's so sad.
The presidency, the Congress, the courts, a free and independent press, institutions that are rooted, they just might not reflect the timeless words, but they echo the words of the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, rooted in the timeless words of the Constitution. We, the people. Our system of separation of powers, checks and balances, may not be perfect, but it's maintained our democracy for nearly 250 years, longer than any other nation in history that's ever tried such a bold experiment. In the past 4 years, our democracy has held strong. And every day I've kept my commitment to be president for all Americans through one of the toughest periods in our nation's history. I've had a great partner in Vice President Kamala Harris. It's been the honor of my life to see the resilience of essential workers getting us through a once-in-a-century pandemic, the heroism of service members and first responders keeping us safe, the determination of advocates standing up for our rights and our freedoms instead of losing their jobs to an economic crisis that we inherited millions of Americans.
You want to know who did lose their jobs? People that didn't take the experimental vaccine and refused to, because they wanted to have some level of right to the vaccines that they took. And then they lost their jobs because you forced them to, Joe Biden. But okay.
Now have the dignity of work. Millions of entrepreneurs and companies creating new businesses and industries, hiring American workers, using American products. And together, we've launched a new era of American possibilities. One of the greatest modernizations of infrastructure in our entire history, from new roads, bridges, clean water, affordable high-speed internet for every American. We invented the semiconductor, smaller than the tip of my little finger, and now is bringing those chip factories and those jobs back to America where they belong.
But you're not. It's like physically, it's actually not happening.
Giving Medicare the power to negotiate lower prescription drug prices for millions of seniors. And finally, doing something to protect our children and our families by passing the most significant gun safety law in 30 years and bringing violent crime to a 50-year low, meeting our sacred obligation to over 1 million veterans so far who are exposed to toxic materials, and to their families, providing medical care and education benefits and more for their families. You know, it will take time to feel the full impact of all we've done together, but the seeds are planted.
No, that's simply not true. Like he says, it'll take time. It'll take time. It'll take time. He said that like when he passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which in fact did the exact opposite of what it was titled. So like, it'll take time. It'll take time. It'll take time. That's like spoken like a true liar. Like it'll take time is exactly what you say when you have no idea whether or not the desired outcome or the claimed outcome will actually happen. Or if not that, then you know exactly that outcome will not happen. But you say, oh, it'll take time. It'll take time. It'll take time. When?
Grow and they'll bloom for decades to come. At home, we've created nearly 17 million new jobs, more than any other single administration, a single term. More people have health care than ever before. And overseas, we've strengthened NATO. Ukraine is still free. And we pulled ahead of our competition with China. And so much more. I'm so proud of how much we've accomplished together for the American people. And I wish the incoming administration success, because I want America to succeed. That's why I've upheld my duty to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition of power, to ensure we lead by the power of our example. I have no doubt that America is in a position to continue to succeed. That's why my farewell address tonight, I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. And this is a dangerous and that's a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. And the dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked.
Wait. So people like George Soros, maybe, who you just gave a presidential Medal of Freedom to? Maybe. The oligarchy that actually like basically runs the Democratic Party. The few wealthy people. I mean, like you paraded Mark Cuban around to shill for Kamala. And you're warning me of a wealthy oligarchy. Look, here's the thing: is there's a cast of characters on both sides of this, and so if you want to talk, this is the problem with the Democratic Party. The problem with the Democratic Party, and this is what they didn't notice during the election either, is that they're trying to frame themselves as the Democratic Party of yore, this party of oh well, we're for the working man, we're the populist, we're sticking it to the man. But the problem is that like you're bought, paid for, and in the pockets of the man. You're big pharma, Hollywood, the ultra wealthy. I mean, the majority of our mainstream media networks, like they bought and paid for. So you're just a hypocrite at this point, and you keep trying to frame yourself as this kind of like for the working man, and we're against the power of the man that holds all the money and the slave to the green. But no, you've become what the forefathers of the Democrat Party once protested. And like the translator here, I share a very same feeling of whatever that face is.
Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence. It literally threatens our entire democracy,
Maybe it's
basic
like
rights
and the
and freedoms,
Bidens.
and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead. We see the consequences all across America, and we've seen it before. More than a century ago, but the American people stood up to the robber barons back then and busted the trusts. They didn't punish the wealthy, just made the wealthy play by the rules everybody else had to. Workers want rights to earn their fair share. You know, they were dealt into the deal, and it helped put us on a path to building the largest middle class, the most prosperous century any nation in the world has ever seen. We've got to do that again. In the last 4 years, that's exactly what we've done. People should be able to make as much as they can, but play by the same rules, pay their fair share of taxes. So much is at stake. Right now, the existential threat of climate change has never been clearer. Just look across the country, from California to North Carolina. That's why I signed the most significant climate and clean energy law ever in the history of the world, and the rest of the world is trying to model it now. It's working, creating jobs and industries of the future. Now, we've proven we don't have to choose between protecting the environment and growing the economy. We're doing both.
That's not true.
Powerful forces want to wield their unchecked influence to eliminate the steps we've taken to tackle the climate crisis, to serve their own interest for power and profit. We must not be bullied into sacrificing the future of our children and our grandchildren. We must keep pushing forward and push faster.
I'm pretty sure you could have stolen that from like an Al Gore speech 30 years ago.
It's also clear that American leadership in technology is an unparalleled source of innovation that can transform lives. We see the same dangers of the concentration of technology, power, and wealth. You know, his farewell address, President Eisenhower spoke of the dangers of the military-industrial complex. He warned us then about, and I quote, the potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power, end of quote. 6 decades later, I'm equally concerned about the potential rise of a tech-industrial complex that could pose real dangers for our country as well. Americans are being buried under an avalanche of misinformation and disinformation, enabling the abuse of power. The free press is crumbling. Editors are disappearing. Social media is giving up on fact-checking.
No, wait. Social media is not giving up on fact-checking. Social media is being pushed by the incoming administration to not allow the bullies of the oligarchical media to biasly force their opinion upon people while parading it as fact. And if you want to fact check me on that, Joey, look and see that your administration, through court proceedings, has explicitly admitted to encouraging, to put it lightly, basically holding a gun to social media's head to force them to fact check dissenting opinions. Like an Orwellian nightmare, but okay.
The truth is smothered by lies told for power and for profit. We must hold the social platforms accountable to protect our children, our families, and our very democracy from the abuse of power. Meanwhile, artificial intelligence is the most consequential technology of our time, perhaps of all time. Nothing offers more profound possibilities and risks for our economy and our security, our society, for humanity. Artificial intelligence even has the potential to help us answer my call to end cancer as we know it. But unless safeguards are in place, AI could spawn new threats to our rights, our way of life, to our privacy, how we work, and how we protect our nation. We must make sure AI is safe and trustworthy and good for all humankind. In the age of AI, it's more important than ever that the people must govern. And as a land of liberty, America, not China, must lead the world in the development of AI. You know, in the years ahead, it's going to be up to the president, the presidency, the Congress, the courts, the free press, and the American people to confront these powerful forces. We must reform the tax code, not by giving the biggest tax cuts to billionaires, but by making them begin to pay their fair share. We need
They
to
always say that, and like that's the thing. And I'm just going to always push on this. But what does it mean to pay their fair share? What does that mean? What does that truly mean, to pay their fair share? Currently, the tax rate for people that the millionaires and billionaires, as Bernie Sanders would say, they're paying a lot more. And any time that they get any level of a break, it's because in some way they helped society somewhere else, or they provided something to the economy. So calm down.
Dark money. That's that hidden funding behind too many campaigns contributions. We need to get it out of our politics. We need to enact an 18-year term limit, time and term, for the strongest ethics reform and the strongest ethics reform for our Supreme Court. We need to ban members of Congress from trading stock while they're in the Congress. We need to amend the Constitution to make clear that no president is immune from crimes that he or she commits while in office.
That's a great comment.
The president's power is not limited. It's not absolute, and it shouldn't be. And in a democracy, there's another danger to the concentration of power and wealth. It erodes a sense of unity and common purpose. It causes distrust and division. Participating in our democracy becomes exhausting and even disillusioning. And people don't feel like they have a fair shot. We have to stay engaged in the process. I know it's frustrating. A fair shot is what makes America, America. Everyone's entitled to a fair shot, not a guarantee, but just a fair shot, an even playing field, going as far as your hard work and talent can take you. We can never lose that essential truth, remain who we are. I've always believed, and I've told other world leaders, America can be defined by one word: possibilities. Only in America do we believe anything is possible. Like a kid with a stutter from modest beginnings in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claremont, Delaware, sitting behind this desk in the Oval Office as President of the United States. That's the magic of America. It's all around us. Upstairs in the residence of the White House, I've walked by a painting of the Statue of Liberty I don't know how many times. In the painting, there's several workers climbing on the outstretched arm of the statue that holds the torch. It reminds me every day I pass it of the story and soul of our nation and the power of the American people. There's a story of a veteran. This is a veteran, a son of an immigrant, whose job was to climb that torch and polish the amber panes so rays of light could reach out as far as possible. He was known as the keeper of the flame. He once said of the Statue of Liberty, quote, speaks the silent universal language, one of hope, that anyone who seeks and speaks freedom can understand. Yes, we sway back and forth to withstand the fury of the storm, to stand the test of time. A constant struggle, a short distance between peril and possibility. But what I believe is the America of our dreams is always closer than we think. And it's up to us to make our dreams come true. Let me close by stating my gratitude to so many people, to the members of my administration, as well as public service and first responders across the country and around the world. Thank you for stepping up to serve. To our service members and your families, it's been the highest honor of my life to lead you as Commander-in-Chief. And of course, to Kamala and her incredible partner, a historic Vice President. She and Doug have become like family. And to me, family's everything. My deepest appreciation to our amazing First Lady who's with me in the Oval today. For our entire family. You're the love of my life and the life of my love. My eternal thanks to you, the American people. After 50 years of public service, I give you my word. I still believe in the idea for which this nation stands. A nation where the strength of our institutions and the character of our people matter and must endure.
Okay, here's the thing though, is like he's going to give us his word. Well, he gave us his word that he was going to cure cancer and he didn't do that. He gave us his word that he was going to unify the country and he didn't do that. Like he has all these things. Like, his word after 50 years in public service, his word means nothing. And that's not unique to Joe Biden. He's not even special in that way. Even in that way, Joe Biden isn't special. For the fact that as a liar, he's one of thousands that came before him within American government.
Now it's your turn to stand guard. May you all be the keeper of the flame. May you keep the faith. I love America. You love it too. God bless you all. May God protect our troops. Thank you for this great honor.
I think it's really sad. And so like I see this comment in here. Does anybody really believe that this is real? This is a real human speaking? I mean, it is practically a corpse. And that's what we've recognized Joe Biden as for quite a while now. That's why he dropped out of the presidential race. Joe Biden it's been weekend at Biden's basically since he ran for office in the first place. That's why when I played my top 5 moments of his presidency earlier, you noticed that most of them had to do with him just being a bumbling buffoon because he really has not even been the president for the last 4 years. That is why this has been an uninspired and uninteresting and frankly boring farewell address. There was nothing of value within this. There was a half-baked analogy with the Statue of Liberty and what it means. And then he tried to take credit for the ceasefire deal that he also kind of almost recognized was Trump's doing within it. I mean, there's another clip, I don't have it pulled up, but of Joe Biden today being asked, is it because of you or Trump that the ceasefire deal is happening? And he said, quote, "Is that even a question?" Yeah, it absolutely is. Or he said, "Is that a joke?" No, it's not a joke. People want to know because people credit Trump with it much more. Even Joe Biden kind of recognized that in this speech. This is, like I said, to reiterate, uninteresting, boring, uninspired, and sad. Just like the career, 50 years in public service of Joe Biden. A farewell address only fitting for someone who spent their entire life claiming they were working for you while only ever working for themselves. And so, if you're anything like me, you're excited for Joe to be gone. So, everybody, God bless you. God bless America. And as I always say, thank you so much for watching Speechless. And God bless soon to be President Trump.